joining. If you all have not met me yet, I'm Ivy, the marriage green card lawyer. I appreciate you all for showing up today. Last Friday, we had a live webinar, so we weren't here live, but for those of you who joined the webinar, thank you very much. It's good to see you all. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up and let me know where you're watching me from. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I serve clients all over the USA and abroad. So I like to connect with my clients or my viewers to know where everyone's from. The Philippines, thank you so much. That's like on the other side of the US, basically different time zones, yeah? Thank you for joining anyway. Some people are up late, and I love to see that. Tammy Ivory, thank you for the likes. Share this live with your friends. We're going to be talking about the I-693 medical exam today. So that's a very important aspect of your immigration, your final green card admissibility. So we're going to discuss how to go about doing your medical, the importance, and when you actually need to do your medical exam. Okay. Thanks, Stacy, for the thumbs up. So that means you can hear me. That's great. Thank you very much. All right. So as usual, during these lives, we have our topic we're going to discuss. And then, whenever if you have a question during the live, you can just leave a comment and we'll get into the questions at the end of the live. I already see a comment and a question from YouTube. Serena, thank you for your question. We're going to get to the questions towards the end, so make sure you stick around. From Florida, thank you so much for joining. Stick around through the live, share with your friends so that everyone can get this information right now while we're here. And this may be our last live for the year, you guys, for 2022. So let's make it count. Maybe I'll invite you guys for my holiday party. Who knows? Let me know in the comments if you want to come for that party. We'll do a TikTok live party. I always do virtual parties with my audience anyway, so let me know. Okay. Wow. Serena, German with a permanent residency in Chile and currently visiting fiance in Texas. From all over the world, like I said, welcome to my live. Yes to a live party. Okay, let's see how many people will say yes. If we can get many votes, then we'll do it. We'll do a live Christmas party for all of you guys for being so awesome throughout 2022. It's been a great year. I'm just, couldn't even imagine how it was going to turn out, but it turned out great. So thank you. So anyway, I'm going to get into the topic for today. Many of you all are joining again. So as we keep growing, just keep, if you have any questions, if you missed something I said in the beginning, just feel free to ask. So let's get into it. I-693, what is that? Many of you see this I-693 medical exam requirement and don't really understand the details, especially when it comes to vaccination. So during this live, I'm going to discuss, give me 1 second. During this live, I'm going to discuss how, the importance of doing your vaccinations along with your medical exam and how to get a waiver in case you are opposed to vaccines. So there are options around it, and I'm trying to fix TikTok live right now, but there are options around it. And if you're in that final stage where you've submitted your green card or you're about to start your green card, this is very vital information for that. So basically, your medical exam is when you go to, as an immigrant, when you're trying to get a green card to come to the USA, You're required to go to a special occupational doctor, a special doctor assigned by USCIS. There's a list of doctors on the USCIS website about, where you can go. So once you are applying for any immigration benefits, most especially a residency, permanent residency, you're required to be of good health mentally, physically, and you're required to be up to date to all your vaccinations to prevent any type of communicable disease. Okay, so that's the purpose of a medical exam period for immigration. That's just what the I-693 is. The I-693 is the form that the doctor is going to prepare when you go to the doctor and they check you out. They're going to do all sorts of tests. They're going to I know they do the TB test. That's the most popular one, where you have to check if you've ever had TB or if you have the vaccines or whatever. Because sometimes, even if you have some of the diagnoses or some of the, diseases or whatever, you might be able to still get a waiver, which is what we'll talk about later on, how to waive any type of medical inadmissibility. Okay. Sometimes you can still get a waiver if you're able to show how that disease is no longer communicable or whatever the case may be, or how you've treated it or your current treatment plan or something like that. So there's still room for that. But basically, that's what a medical exam is. It is just for the USCIS, for the federal government, for whoever we're applying to the green card for, which is just the US, to essentially figure out if you are fit for a green card, if you're physically and mentally fit, because there's also some medical disabilities that could potentially disqualify you for a green card. So that's why it's necessary. Okay. And don't just go to any doctor. Remember that you have to go to the specific doctor prescribed by the USCIS. There's a list on the website. If you want that list, if you want any access, just let us know in the comments, and my team will be able to get you the link just to find a doctor in your area. Okay, because you have to go to one in your area to get checked and all of that. Okay, I had to do it too. I remember I lived in Lynchburg at that time, and I had to drive somewhere like out of town because Lynchburg was a small city. So most of the time I had to drive, far, but you need to go to a specific doctor for that and take all the tests, take all the shots for your vaccines, make it up to date and all of that. All right. That's just the general intro. So now, when do you send this medical package? Like, when does it come into play? Like, because that's always a big question, especially on my Facebook group where we talk about marriage-based green card. If you aren't a part of the group, just check out the link in my bio, especially if you're watching on TikTok. You will see the Facebook icon. You'll be able to join that group so you can find out what other people who are applying in the same position as you, what they're going through, see the timelines and all of that, get encouraged, get some tips. Okay, so people always want to know when is the best time to send it, because there's two options for you to send your medical exam if you're applying to adjust your status, right? So the first option, as you can see on the screen, is with your package. Okay, if you want to prepare your adjustment of status, meaning you have your I-130 petition, you have your I-485, you have everything together, and you just want to send a complete package, then you can, after you prepare all that, go to your doctor. The doctor already has the form, okay? So you don't have to take the form to the doctor or anything. And you take the exam. Make sure that when they give you the package, you don't open it, because it has to be sealed for the USCIS. Otherwise, it will get disqualified, and then you have to take another one. Those exams, they usually range from like $350 to $500. I'm not really sure. Every area is so different with how they charge for that medical exam. I think it could be up to $1,000 in some places. So just look around, check all the different ones in your area, and just go to one And so once, they give you that package, you can then add it to your I-130 and I-45 and all of that and send it to the USCIS. Okay. So that's a full complete package. So that's one option. You could do that. There are pros and cons to doing it this way. One pro, especially now in 2022, the recent changes, is that if you sent in your medical with the package and your interview got waived, then you're in luck, because at this point you can then just, just get your green card. That's it. They won't have to send you like an RFE to send in your medical. Okay. On the other hand, in the past, what's happened before is that you send in your medical with the package, and then it takes a very long time to process your green card, and then your medical ends up expiring. So that's the con. That's one reason why in my practice we actually send it with the client to the interview. So the second way, or the second time when you should send your medical, the second opportunity you have to send your medical is at your interview. So in order to avoid any type of expirations or any issues with the medical, or even to cause delays, because in the beginning when clients come to me, they're ready to file like right away. They want to start working. They just want to put in their adjustment file so they can get their work authorization. So with that, they don't either want to do the extra expense for the medical, or it's just going to take an extra time. So they're just like, let's just submit it, because you can submit at the interview. There's no, you're not going to get denied if you don't submit it at first. Okay. So the second chance to submit your medical exam is at the interview. And USCIS will let you know. They'll send you something called a deficiency notice. If you didn't send it with the first package, they'll send you a deficiency notice, and they'll say, hey, just so you know, we're about to call you for an interview, but you don't have your medical. So now might be a good time for you to go go find a doctor and do it and all of that. So at that time, you take a medical exam, and then hopefully you get called for the interview. But if your interview got waived, you get, an RFE. RFE is like a request for evidence. It'll say, send this medical to this address. Okay. Then you send the medical there. And so it's equivalent to the same thing. Okay. And thank you all for your questions coming in relating to this. I'll be excited to get into it. I believe the last thing I was going to talk about was just medical waivers. And so I can just get into all the questions, because the Q&A piece of the lives is like the favorite. So let's quickly get over waivers. So now in some cases, like I mentioned earlier, you may basically need to waive some. You may, or maybe you had some disease. You had TB at one point in your life, okay? And then you get tested, and then your skin test shows that you had TB, because I guess it's a skin test. That's how they do it. But you currently don't have it, or you're currently being treated for that. You can potentially get a waiver to protect you from, because otherwise, if you are found to have any communicable diseases, or you don't have the correct vaccinations, you'll be found inadmissible. So even if you're married to a U.S. citizen and you're eligible for a green card, you're going to be inadmissible, because you didn't pass the medical. So there's so many levels to this. It's not just to have the relative. Once you have the relative and the relative qualifies financially, they're going to check your immigration records if you are misrepresented, if you have any criminal records, or then if you have any medical stuff that could make you inadmissible. So they're going to check all of that. Those are the three main aspects before you can finally say, okay, good to go. Okay, so that's why it takes months. Like all these checks, all these steps, don't typically just happen within like a month, which is what everybody expects. Sometimes they just want to apply and then turn around and just be approved. But it's a process, all right? They have to check the relationship, check the finances, and then check other forms of inadmissibility that could prevent you from being approved. And if they don't have any reason to, after 24 months, they should have done all their checks. So no excuses. That's why they give us the timeline. And once it gets to that point, we go ahead and just basically you can sue or figure out how the consulate can help you. I mean, the Congress rather can help you get your green card because it's been more than 2 years. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So for here, I actually put in brackets for medical waivers religious reasons because that's another way or another waiver available for your medical. Okay, so if you notice, it's a vaccine waiver. It's not like waiver for all the medical. You still have to do the tests. And you still have to check if you have like any communicable disease, basically. Um, so if you don't have any of those, but you're opposed to getting vaccines, you've never had vaccines in your life, and now you're about to become a permanent resident, and they're like, you need to have vaccines, you could go for the religious reasons why you wouldn't, take a vaccine. Because if you don't get the vaccines, you're going to get denied for inadmissibility, like medical inadmissibility. All right. So if you don't want to take the vaccines, it has to be a religious reason why you're not taking the vaccines. And it can't just be one vaccine. You can't just basically basically be opposed to like COVID vaccine, because that's what we saw happening a lot this year. Since COVID vaccine became a requirement, some people are all of a sudden like, oh, I'm opposed to vaccines. But meanwhile, they've been taking all the other vaccines all their life. So it's not going to be a one-sided thing like that. It's going to be opposed to all vaccines. Since I was born, you're going to have proof. I've never had any vaccines. Or even if I did, it was when I was an infant, when I didn't really have choices over my life. So, but now I'm an adult and no, my children don't have vaccines, like all that stuff. So you have to be able to prove it and possibly get a waiver. So that's something I was just going to add to that. But yes, in general, just know that your medical vaccine is definitely important. Your medical exam is an important part of this whole thing, and you should make sure that it does not expire whenever you want to submit it. If you want to submit with the package, let's hope that it's not going to get past 2 years and it doesn't expire before you get a decision. Because otherwise they'll still send you an RFE to send in another medical again, and then you have to pay a doctor again to do it again because it has to be sealed. They can't really use old ones. And I believe after 2 years, I think they expect that your medical conditions may have changed. I'm thinking that's why they do it that way. Or if you get it after, if they send you a deficiency notice, still note that it can expire within 60 days. So that's just something to keep in mind. So if they send you a deficiency notice or an RFE, just calculate the times when you need to send it in before you actually go to get the medical, so that it doesn't expire in your hands, because it could also expire before the actual interview. Okay. So contact USCIS, make sure it doesn't expire, figure out if you can send it in before, if they haven't booked you for an interview yet, you could potentially send it in before that interview. So yeah, those are the topics. Those are the points I have for today. And now we're going to get into the questions. I see like a whole bunch of them coming up, especially from guys on TikTok. Thank you very much for joining and sharing and participating. So I'm going to get into the questions, and I'm going to talk to you guys. We'll just get into chit chat mode because I want to hear from you guys about our lives. What days? We're going to do a poll. Maybe we'll do that on Facebook. What days you would prefer? We want to make a change to our lives. And also, we're going to start doing live webinars, which we're going to invite you. There's different ways you can join our live webinar. It's going to be on Zoom. It's essentially just a one-on-one with me, just to discuss more intently about particular issues or your issues, and you get an opportunity to speak as well, versus like lives on Facebook and stuff. So follow me. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. On Facebook, follow me so you can follow up with when we are going to do the webinars or just come live. Okay, so we're getting to a new year and things are just, changing. So let's all stay in touch, stay together. I appreciate you guys all year supporting me, joining my lives, telling your friends about me, all the referrals, everything. You guys have just made my practice what it is right now, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. And I'm going to start with Serena's question, and then we'll get into the rest of it. Clara, thank you. Long time. Yeah, I don't think I've seen you in my lives lately, but thank you for coming today. Yeah, so let's get into these questions, and we'll see how we can help one another. All right, so Serena says, do the tuberculosis, syphilis, and gonorrhea have to be done by USCIS accredited surgeon, or can I get them from another cheaper lab and take the results to be evaluated? Serena, that's a great question, because I believe there's some opportunity to get some things evaluated by a doctor, but I believe that only applies to the vaccines, actually. Like, for example, you had some vaccines in Germany, because I believe you said you're from Germany. Yeah, so if you had vaccines when you were a child in Germany, you can bring those over here, and the doctors will most likely, be able to evaluate and accept those and let you know which ones you still need to take, and then give you those. So, but when it comes to the actual tests, I believe you have to do it with those doctors, because that's the whole point. That's why they have to fill out the form and basically write, their own statements about your health, versus relying on another lab test. Except just make sure, just go into their office and ask, because they typically know, the doctor's office will know exactly how you can handle an I-693 medical when it comes to these tests. Okay. So there's nothing that's cheaper, because if you really think about it, it's just only going to be a few $100s less. Ask about payment plans, try to figure out how to work with those doctors so you could just not have any type of delays or confusions. Okay. I hope that helped you. We'll get to the next question. And if you want to speak further, my number is on the screen, as you can see. So you can call me, and reach out, you can text as well, and ask me questions about your green card, anything that you need. If you need help with your service, if you're finding any difficulty, we can help. Okay? All right. Facebook user. Do I have to get the medical exam appointment now, after I received the deficiency letter, or when I received the letter for interview? That's a great, great question, because I get this a lot from my clients, since we do submit our medicals at the interview. So I think the best thing is to actually take the medical once you get the deficiency letter. That's what I've always said to my clients, because your interview could be waived, that you may have the opportunity to send that medical once or before that 60 days expiration, right? Because the dilemma is, what if I get the deficiency letter, I take the medical, and then they still don't call me for interview, like after 2 months? They most likely will call you, or they could waive your interview. So it really depends on your case. So if you do take it and they haven't called you in 60 days, then you can contact your SCIs. You have the opportunity to send it to them at that point. So, either way, just make sure 60 days doesn't pass. Okay. And because once you get the letter for the interview, I believe you only have about a month, and it really just depends on how quickly the doctor, I don't know how quickly they do their whole process, because once you go in and take the test, and I think they'll send you the package or whatever later. Like, they don't give it to you right there and then. So that's something else to consider, because so I hope that answers your questions. Feel free to ask more to follow up. I thank you very much. Yeah, from TikTok, from Karen Juliet. What does it mean when immigration canceled your green card canceled my interview. So you're getting your green card by marriage. They canceled your interview. Well, it could mean that one, they waived your interview, and so you're gonna get your green card without an interview. Or it could just mean like they don't have staffing for it and they're gonna reschedule you. So is the equivalent or is the opposite of you also calling to reschedule. So sometimes they do that. So let's hope that because they don't have enough staff, they'll just go ahead and waive, depending on how long you've been married, your case and all of that. So it could be a good thing if they cancel your interview. It's not. It doesn't mean that they haven't given you a decision. So you just haven't had your interview. Okay. All right. Great questions, you guys. Thanks for participating. And if you're just joining, I see a lot more people just joining now. Just for your benefit, I'm 𝐈-🔑𝟑, the marriage green card lawyer. Help clients file their marriage-based green card so they can live in the USA freely with their spouse and follow their purpose and, follow their dreams with no limitations and no fear. So if you're in that situation, you're married to a U.S. citizen, or someone married to a U.S. citizen, or someone just who needs a green card, who needs that freedom to be able to work, share this information, share my contact, or reach out to me if you're listening so that we can help out and get you to your freedom. Okay, I'm seeing some questions from TikTok, but I'll just answer this one from 𝐿𝐴𝐜𝐿𝐴 over here. 𝐿𝐴𝐜𝐿𝐴 Long, thank you very much. What is the first package? Okay, I believe, 𝐿𝐴𝐜𝐿𝐴, you joined when I was talking about point number 2 of sending it with the interview. So for point number 1, I said you can send your medical with your initial petition, where you send your I-130 and your I-485 and your I-864s. You can also add the I-693. So that's the first package, essentially. So there's no second package. There's just a second opportunity to submit your medical. Okay, it's a package in itself, I guess, but if you'll have to send it by itself if you're sending it at the interview. So that's the difference. So the first package is just your filing, your initial filing, and then the second package is at the interview. Okay, hope that's clear for you, 𝐿𝐴𝐜𝐿𝐴. Thanks for your question. Okay, Macarant. Oh, your name sounds so familiar. I think I've spoken to you before. For advanced parole expedites, you've taken my help. USCIS is set to hear back in 1 to 2 days, but no officer is assigned and the status is pending. Yeah, sometimes USCIS doesn't keep to their word about the 1 to 2 days, but hopefully you hear back within a week. If you don't hear back, you can always reach out because I'm sure they gave you like a service number however you submitted the expedite. So if it's just been 2 days, it's fine. You'll still hear from them soon, because sometimes expedite means they'll handle it in 30 days. So people think expedite means like immediately. It just means it'll be shorter than it would have been if you didn't have this expedite filed. You know what I mean? So, and that could mean anything. So just reach out again to them if you haven't heard anything after 7 days, after, just like that, week in advance. Okay. I hope that helps. Okay. Yeah, well, for work authorizations, it's up to 12 months for waiting. So she's still currently within the normal waiting time. So she'll just have to, except there's a reason to expedite. That's what I was trying to say. So let's just say the normal processing time for the work authorization is 12 months, and you're requesting expedite, and they do it within 3 months. It may seem like it took forever to expedite, but that's still a shorter time than the 12 months, So, but now if she's already waited for 9 months, she's definitely closer to that time, even though the 8.5 months means that in her area, they're processing most applications within 8.5 months, but the general wait time for work authorization is 6 to 12 months. So somewhere in between there. So she can call and just check in. That's really the most you can do, or request an expedite if there's a reason for that. Okay, yeah, that's it. All right. Facebook user says, can we get a vaccine waiver at the medical exam appointment, or just need to be with the USCIS directly? Wow, interesting question. And let me see how I can answer this. So, vaccine waiver, Facebook user, is an application of itself that you submit with the USCIS, right? The doctor doesn't really have any standing to grant you a waiver or anything, because it's up to the USCIS to determine if you meet the criteria, especially if it's for religious reasons. That you can take it. So there are other reasons, like I think age, if you're like a minor or a certain age, if you're pregnant, I believe maybe like COVID vaccine. There was a time there was some speculations about that. There's some categories of people who could potentially waive the vaccine for different reasons, but if it was religious reasons, it's still, the doctors aren't the ones that determine that. The USCIS has separate rules for how to determine if someone can waive the requirement of having a medical. Okay, so yeah, you won't, for the medical exam, you just go there and get what you need to get. They might ask you to get some vaccines and you tell them you're applying for a waiver and they'll just say okay. They can't really make you do anything you don't want to do. So, that'll be the end of that. So I hope that answers that question for you. So yeah, it's definitely, you do that with the USCIS directly. All right. TikTok says, when does the medical expire? So the medical expires after 2 years, depending on when you submit it. It could be after 2 years or after 60 days if you still have it on hand and you haven't submitted it to USCIS. But when it's with them, it can last for up to 2 years. But then after that, you don't have to take another one. So that's the short answer to that. Yeah. Next question. Any news on I-130? My parents applied since April 2022. Okay, your parents applied for you, or what type of, what category are we looking at here? Because April 2022 has just been, 9 months ago? That's fine. That's still within the processing times. So for spousal I-130, though, my clients have had 5 months and less. Okay. But that's spousal. So when you say your parents applied, if they applied for you, then are you in the USA? Are you outside the USA? Are you a minor? Are you an adult? So many thoughts, so many questions. If you can answer those, I can help you more. And during the live webinar, guys, we're going to be going over things like this in detail. You have opportunity to ask these questions yourself. So make sure you sign up for that. So we'll have a link somewhere in this live so that you can sign up, a request to join for a Zoom link. It's going to happen on Zoom, not on Facebook, so that you can join. There's some requirements for that. So just reach out to ICE or Mike, and then they can help you figure it out. Okay. That was probably a cat, but yeah, I think I answered that one for the I-130. That's it. Yeah, I still have the same response for this. It's been a week. Yeah, it's still the same thing. A week is still a good waiting time. So just call them. That's really all you can do at this point, since you already expedited, except they ask you to send something, which they probably will by email. Yeah, that's it for that one. Question from TikTok. Is it possible for a parole immigrant to marry a U.S. citizen for a green card? Like, there's so many questions I have about this question right now. Are you getting married for a green card, or you're just getting married? Because if you're getting married for a green card, regardless of who you are or your status, that's already an issue. But if you are a non-citizen and you're in the USA on parole, like you didn't have your I-94, you just got paroled in, you could marry a U.S. citizen and potentially adjust your status to permanent residency. But if you're saying you're marrying for a green card, that's problematic already. So let's clarify that during this live. So if you have follow-up questions to that, let me know. But non-citizens could marry U.S. citizens. There are definitely going to be waivers available for you if you are facing deportation or overstay or just entry without inspection, whatever the issues are. But, that comes down the line when we're talking about admissibility, which is also which medical exams is part of that. That's part of your admissibility determination. They're trying to figure out if you should get this green card or not. So if you fall into that category, you could get waivers based on your relationship to a U.S. citizen. Just make sure what your intentions are. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? I see one on TikTok from Funny Comment here. We'll get to that one. Kenson, what was that question? The new public charge rule looks a lot like Trump era. Not much changed to me. I don't know about any new public charge rule right now. If that's something that's just breaking, we're still looking into it. But right now, getting benefits, does not affect your eligibility for a green card. Any new rules or new updates to that, we'll definitely consider that. But when it comes to the different eras, we have to really, I'm never going to get political up in here, but there's just different reasons why all these rules come into play. There's definitely a financial aspect of getting a green card. We talk about the petitioner being able to sponsor or make a certain amount of money to be able to even have a family member, like petition for one, or have a joint sponsor. So there are different aspects to this thing, different political and financial reasons for all these things to be in place. But for now, I can't really speak too much on a new public charge rule until I do some more research. So follow me. Let's check up on that, and I'll give you some updates on my page. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, so if you want to join our webinar, these are, if you're watching right now, you can see the rules on how to join. Follow us on Instagram at Marriage Green Card Lawyer. Share the post, because we want to encourage more people to see our page, because that helps us grow and helps us reach more people with our services. So you'll tag a friend, and once we're able to get your comment, or we can DM you the Zoom link to sign up. So just follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is at Marriage Green Card Lawyer, and you get more instructions on what to do. Okay. All right. I see another question from Praise86 on TikTok. So we're going to answer more questions. Funny comment, share. Oh, we're going to answer you next. So we're answering it in the order that it comes in. Okay. All right. Next question. Oh, well, Praise says, I'm a green card holder. After how many years am I eligible for citizenship? Praise, it depends on basically how you got your green card, whether it's 3 years or 5 years. It depends on that. So how did you get your green card? For a spouse, if you're married to a U.S. citizen, you can get your citizenship after 3 years if you're still married. But if you got it through your parents or employment or whatever, it's 5 years. Okay. Funny comments here said, It's been 2 months since your I-485 says fingerprints was applied for the second time. So what's your question? Just want to know when the medical expired. A funny comment here. I'm not sure if I missed your question again, but yeah, if it's been 2 months since your biometrics, so you did your biometrics. Are you asking about your work authorization, or what are you asking about? Let me see if I can invite Coach Noah to join me in this one. But yeah, yeah, if it's been 2 months, you could maybe get your work authorization soon. There's no other updates on your accounts. That's just what it is. I'm not sure what the question is here. But you can feel free to ask again if I missed the question from before. But that may be all of it, you guys. I believe we have answered all the questions for today. But if I'm missing anyone, I'm still here till noon for a couple more minutes, waiting for more questions. So let me know, and yeah, we'll go from there. Meanwhile, yeah, and also don't forget that you could also book a call if you don't get to get your answers on here. We can definitely help you when you call the office. All right. You said it changed back to fingerprints was received after it was transferred to NVC or NBC, the National Benefits Center. Okay, so what is the concern still? Okay, so if you received a deficiency notice, I'm just reading these questions from funny comments here on TikTok for the guys on Facebook wondering what I'm answering. Funny comments here received an I-693 deficiency notice, and the concern is that next year after that, because there's no interview or RFE yet. So, well, have you already taken the medical? Then you need to contact USCIS. If you haven't taken the medical, and there's not going to be any RFE except your interview was waived. If your interview wasn't waived, then you're going to take the medical to the interview, right? So, what you're expecting, you're not going to get an RFE. You're going to get the interview date. So, did you already take the medical? That should be the concern, whether your 60 days is up. But if you just got a deficiency notice, then you just go ahead and take the medical and then contact USCIS. Yeah. Okay. TikTok user, is there a cutoff age for adoptive kids to get their parents' status? Yes, I believe it's 16 or so. 16 for it to be automatic. And then after that, they can still potentially get it with you filing an I-130, things like that. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Again, my name is Iphy, the marriage green card lawyer. I'm helping clients all over the USA file their marriage-based green cards. Clients all over the USA and abroad, actually, because many of my clients actually are outside the USA trying to get a spousal green card to come in, green card visa. For Lizzie, I help with all sorts of family-based immigration. So parents filing for children, children filing for parents, husband filing for wife, wife filing for husband, husband filing for husband or wife filing for wife. Any type of family relationship that qualifies, but no uncles filing for nieces or nephews, because those relationships don't qualify. No grandmas filing for, you know, grandchildren or whatever. They basically, you can file for your child if the grandma is the one that has the green card. File for your child, and then your child can file for their child, like that. Can't really skip. But yeah, so any family relationship, I can help you, because we know that in family-based immigration, if you're trying to get a green card through family-based relationships, the main thing you have to prove is that relationship. So if it's a child, um, basically you have to prove that it's, especially if it's a father filing for a child, that's one of the tougher ones, because with moms it's like, okay, your mom is your mom, but for dad, you have to do DNA. You have to show that you're actually taking care of the child as far as like support financially or whatever, things like that. And then before you can then claim the child as your child for the purpose of, for over green card. So that's how it is. So we can help you with all of that. Just reach out. Number is on the screen. If you're on TikTok, link is in my bio for contact information, for being on my Facebook group, and also for joining us with the live webinars. Okay. And we'll put a poll out. I think on the group, we'll just do a poll to see what days works really better for you guys, because we want to make sure everyone's able to join our lives, and we can find a good time moving forward. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ice. Yeah. If you're on TikTok, thanks for that info. So now I'm just going to just relax, because today is just one of those days that I have to really dig into my gratitude box, so that I can just remember where I'm at and become more aware. Because with gratitude is when you have to observe to show gratitude. Thank God for the phone that you have, and just the air that you're breathing. No one, I keep, this thing keeps ringing in my head. One thing one lady said to me one time at the post office, she ran to me. She was just asking for money, I guess. And so, but the way she came at me, she was like, I don't have, she's just saying all these negative things. And I just said, but you have something. And she was like, what? Life? I wish I didn't have that. I was like, wow, that was so harsh. I was just like, I didn't say anything in that moment, but I kept thinking about it. So like, some people really take it for granted, because they're so consumed with just thinking about, I don't know, situations within that life that you have. If you don't have that life, all those situations and things you're wanting and thinking about won't even matter. So to even say that, because I'm like, the money you're asking me for self, like, what are you going to use it for if you didn't have this life? Like, we take breathing for granted until the day you have a sinus infection and you can't breathe. Then you'll be like, shit, I really needed that air, didn't I? So some days just have to dig into that, especially as we're getting towards the end of the year, and my energy is just declining. I just have to dig into that gratitude box and just be okay, and not allow dips in energy, because dips in energy just causes one to, you just kind of go into like automatic thinking, and most of our automatic thinkings are programmed thinking that is not really in line with where we want to be right now. So I always try to just switch it up, and through gratitude and singing. So thanks for joining my live. I believe we're done for the day. So have a wonderful Friday. If you want to stick around, if you're still just sticking around, I'm still here just doing my own thing. So yeah, have a great Friday, you guys. Bye.